Okay, so I already looked at this first photo with you, and I went through a number of things that I really like about it. I went looking a little more, and I discovered that I've got a series of three that I really like. I don't know what it is about three, but I love looking for a series of photos, and if I can find three, then three photos that work together, then I'm really happy. And I guess maybe a series of three is allows for a bit of a story to develop, but it's not so many photos that it becomes overwhelming. Like a series of 18 photos would be a little much perhaps, but a series of three, I could envision printing these photos and hanging them over my couch or putting them in a photo book or doing something with them. A series of 7 or 11 or 42 is maybe a little bit much, but a three you can kind of really work with. So I talked about this first photo. You can go look at the video and kind of see in depth what I had in mind. And then I noticed a photo that followed it. So here's here's something that I do. I'll bring up the three photos again. Here's something that I really like to do is I don't just take a quick shot of the moment like, hey, that's cool, snap, and then walk away. I don't just take one photo. I take probably at least a dozen photos, if not like 100 or 200 photos of a particular moment. And I know that may sound kind of crazy, like 200 photos of a moment. Sometimes it's like 2,000 photos of a moment. But usually it's at least a half a dozen or a dozen photos. And the reason is because I see something I'm drawn to and I snap a photo and I think, cool. But then I wonder what's going to happen next or what would make this photo even better. So sometimes I'm starting to change my angle or something like that. And sometimes it's just it's knowing full well something more is going to happen. And I'm not necessarily looking for a better moment. I'm just hanging in there and seeing what happens. And so I took a bunch of photos of my kids all on the couch together, and I waited for the moments to unfold. So here's kind of a cool thing. So we've got this couch, and it's too small. My wife is always complaining that the couch is too small, and I don't know. I'm weird, I guess, but I like things like couches and rooms and houses and stuff, vehicles that are too small. There's something about bringing people together in close quarters that it's just kind of cool to see what happens. So we got this couch that is big enough. It's almost just a love seat, but it is definitely a couch, somewhere between a couch and a love seat. And so when it is very rare that we get three people or four people on this couch and they're not kind of cuddled in together. So my kids are on this couch and I'm thinking like, well, I got the first shot. Let's see what else is going to happen. First shot, second shot. The main difference between these two photos is the lean in. You can see on this side of the photo over here, my son's lean in closer to the camera, or the one son anyways, leans in closer. Clearly, something has piqued his curiosity. And then, whoops, if you look at my daughter over here on the other side of the photo with the book gets closer. She begins looking closer for some reason. And I love this moment because of the lean in, because they all kind of lean in to what they're doing and they become more engaged. And now I want to know what is going on. So some of you have noticed at this point that the the photo has actually become out of focus. The first photo, the focus is on the faces, and if you look at the feet, they're a little bit out of focus. And then in this next photo, the faces are out of focus and the feet are in focus. I took this photo a long time ago, so I don't remember if this was intentional. I may, if you watch the other video, you know that I'm interested in the faces, the hands, and the feet. And so I may have actually focused on the feet intentionally. It may have been an accidental misfocus of the camera. I don't really care. I love the moment. It's the lean in that makes this moment. And then this third photo, the final photo, they notice that I'm taking pictures of them, and my sons look up and they have this semi-blank expression on their face. And then my daughter looks up and she just so happens to be picking her nose. And this to me is just an awesome moment. The the facial expressions, the I noticed the feet. Again, if you watch the other photo I talked about faces, hands, feet, I talked about comfort and discomfort. Notice that the feet don't change a whole lot. Like, my daughter's feet remain approximately the same. My son's feet, pretty similar. So the feet are expressing comfort in these photos. The hands are expressing engagement. They're holding books, or they are holding cameras, or they are picking noses. And then the faces are sort of like, what are these people tuned into? They're looking at a digital camera, they're looking at a book, they're leaning in and they're looking even closer. Now they're looking at me, and in one particular case, they're picking the nose. Um, there we go. So I think that this is kind of a cool series of 3 photos.